My husband took his friends to a luxury island resort, but told me I couldn't come because I'd stand out too much at this exclusive place. He had no idea I owned that resort, and when I watched him arrive with another woman on his arm, I knew exactly how to make him pay. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, because this story's about to get real. If you've ever been made to feel like you don't belong somewhere because of the color of your skin, this one's for you. And trust me, the way I handled this will have you cheering. Now let me tell you how my husband's racism and betrayal collided in the most spectacular way possible. You know that moment when you realize your entire marriage has been a lie? Yeah, I had that moment. But let me back up and tell you how I got there. My name doesn't matter for this story, but what does matter is that I built myself from the ground up. I'm a Black businesswoman who owns a chain of luxury resorts across the Caribbean and Mediterranean. But 8 years ago, when I met Michael at a charity gala, I was just starting out. He was this charming corporate executive, said all the right things, made me feel seen. We fell in love fast, or at least, I thought we did. His family never fully accepted me though. There were always these subtle comments at holiday dinners. "Oh, you're so articulate. You're not like other, you know." His mother would touch my hair without asking, like I was some exotic pet. But I loved Michael, and I told myself that his family's ignorance wasn't his fault. He'd defend me sometimes, in that half-hearted way that made me feel like I was being too sensitive. Over the years, things changed. I was building my hospitality empire quietly, making investments, acquiring properties. Michael would pat my head and call it my little hobby. Meanwhile, he was climbing the corporate ladder, and suddenly, his colleagues' opinions mattered more than mine. He started making comments about my hair. When I wore it natural, he'd suggest I straighten it for his work events. You know how conservative these people are, babe. Just trying to help you fit in. I'd show up to his company dinners, and his colleagues would look surprised, like they'd expected someone different. Their wives were all the same type, blonde, polished, country club members who talked about tennis and their kids' private schools. They'd ask me where I was really from, even though I'd tell them I was born in Atlanta. They'd say things like, "I don't see color," but then exclude me from their group texts and lunch dates. The worst part, Michael stopped posting me on social media. Our wedding photos disappeared from his Instagram. When people asked about his wife, he'd be vague. I felt myself becoming invisible in my own marriage. Then came the announcement that changed everything. Michael walked into our home office 3 weeks ago, more excited than I'd seen him in months. "Babe, great news. The guys and I are doing a trip to Paradise Cove. You know, that exclusive island resort? It's going to be epic. 2 weeks from now." I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been reviewing profit margins from my properties. "Oh, that sounds fun. When should I pack?" His face fell, just for a second, but I caught it. "Oh, well, it's kind of a guy's thing. You know, college buddies bonding, reliving the glory days." Something in my gut twisted. I wouldn't mind. I could use a vacation too. He shifted uncomfortably, not meeting my eyes. "Look, I just think those kinds of resorts have a very traditional clientele, very old money, very exclusive. I wouldn't want you to feel uncomfortable." There it was, that word, traditional. I knew exactly what he meant. "You're saying I wouldn't fit in," I said quietly. No, that's not." He ran his hand through his hair. "I just mean you'd probably feel out of place. It's better if you stay home, maybe book yourself a spa day or something. Treat yourself." I felt something crack inside my chest, but I kept my face neutral. "Sure, whatever you want." The relief on his face was unmistakable. He actually smiled. "You're the best, babe. I knew you'd understand." I watched him pack over the next 2 weeks. Expensive resort wear I'd never seen. New cologne. He was whistling, happy, excited to go somewhere without his Black wife who might stand out too much. The morning he left, he kissed my forehead like I was a child. "Love you. I'll text you when I land." "Have fun," I said, and I meant it. Because I was about to have a lot of fun too. See, here's the thing. Michael never bothered to learn about my little hobby. When my grandmother passed away 2 years ago, she left me a substantial inheritance. While Michael was busy dismissing my business ventures, I was quietly acquiring luxury properties across 3 continents. I own 7 resorts now, each one more profitable than the last. And Paradise Cove, I'd purchased it 6 months ago. I didn't realize it immediately. The day after Michael left, I was in my office going through my monthly portfolio reports. My property manager sends them like clockwork. Occupancy rates, revenue, guest satisfaction scores. I was scrolling through the list when my eyes caught on a familiar name. Paradise Cove, Resort and Spa. Current occupancy, 73%. New group booking, Michael Hayes, party of 8. My hand froze on the mouse. I read it again, then again. My husband was staying at my resort, the resort I owned. The place he said I wouldn't fit in. I called my property manager immediately. Tell me about the Hayes booking. Oh yes, she said cheerfully. Party of 8, premium ocean view suites, full meal plan. They checked in about 2 hours ago. Celebrating some kind of reunion, I think. Pull up the security camera feeds, I said. Send me the access link. There was a pause. Is everything okay, Ms.? Just send it. Owner's privilege. 10 minutes later, I was logged into the resort's private security system. Multiple camera angles. Lobby, pool, beach, restaurants. My hands were shaking as I brought up the lobby footage from earlier that day. And there he was, my husband, laughing at the check-in desk, looking more relaxed than he had in months. Then she walked into frame, blonde, bubbly, probably 10 years younger than me. She was wearing a sundress and giggling at something Michael said. He put his arm around her waist, casual, comfortable, like they'd done it 1,000 times. My vision blurred. I recognized her, Karen, his work colleague, the one he'd been having late-night phone calls with, the one he said was just a friend. I watched as more people joined them. His brother Derek with his wife Jennifer, his best friend Chris with his girlfriend. 2 other couples I vaguely recognized from his college days. They were all in on it. Every single one of them knew he'd lied to me. I switched to the pool camera. They were settling into lounge chairs, ordering drinks. The audio was faint, but I could make out pieces of conversation. Derek's voice. Finally, a vacation where you can just relax, bro. Chris laughing. No offense, but it's nice when everything just flows, you know. Then Karen, touching Michael's arm. I'm so glad I finally get to meet the real you. Michael's response made my blood run cold. Yeah, I can just be myself here. No complications. I was the complication. My black skin was the complication. I was the thing he needed a vacation from. I sat in my office for an hour, just crying. Not sad crying, angry crying. The kind of crying that cleanses you and leaves something harder in its place. I thought about every microaggression, every dismissal, every time he'd made me feel less than, every time his family had forgotten to invite me to gatherings, every time his friends' wives had left me out of conversations. And then I stopped crying because I realized something powerful. I owned that resort, every square foot of it. Every staff member answered to me, and Michael had no idea. I picked up my phone and called Gloria, the resort manager. She picked up on the second ring. Gloria, I need to tell you something, and then I need your help. I explained everything. The lies, the other woman, the racism. By the end, Gloria was silent for a long moment. That man is staying at your resort and doesn't even know you own it. Not a clue. He thinks I'm at home being a good little wife. Gloria's voice took on a steely edge. I loved her immediately. What do you need from me? Book me the presidential suite. I'm flying out tomorrow morning. And Gloria, I want to plan a special dinner. Say no more. I've been managing luxury resorts for 30 years, and I've dealt with plenty of entitled guests who think they own the place. It'll be my pleasure to remind them who the real owner is. I booked a private flight that night, packed my best outfits, got my natural hair braided into an elegant pattern that took 6 hours but was absolutely worth it. I was going to walk into that resort looking like the queen I was. When I landed on the island the next morning, the sun was shining, and the air smelled like freedom. A private car took me to Paradise Cove. As we pulled up the palm-lined drive, I saw Michael and his group heading to the beach. They looked so happy, so carefree. Gloria met me at a private entrance, away from the main lobby. She was a beautiful older black woman with silver streaks in her natural hair and eyes that had seen everything. "Welcome home," she said, hugging me. "Your suite is ready." The presidential suite was on the top floor, with a wraparound balcony that overlooked the entire property. I could see everything from up there: the beach, the pools, the restaurants. I stood on that balcony with a glass of wine and watched my husband's group lounging by the infinity pool. Karen was sitting on Michael's lap. His hands were on her waist. They were laughing. I felt nothing but cold determination. "Let's make this interesting," I said to Gloria, who'd stayed to go over the plans. "I want to walk the property today. Incognito. I want to hear what they're saying." So that's what I did. I put on oversized sunglasses and a sun hat and positioned myself at strategic spots around the resort, by the pool bar during lunch, near their table at the beachside restaurant. Close enough to hear, far enough not to be recognized. And oh, the things I heard. Jennifer, Derek's wife. "This place is perfect. Exactly our kind of people, Derek." "I know what you mean. Very curated clientele." Karen, to Michael, "Your wife would have hated it here anyway." Michael, "She wouldn't have fit in. Trust me, this is better for everyone." Chris made a joke about Michael being free for the week. They all laughed. Every word was fuel. Every laugh was ammunition. That evening, Gloria and I finalized our plan. She'd arranged an exclusive owner's appreciation dinner for select guests. Gold-embossed invitations were hand-delivered to their suites that afternoon. They were being honored as valued guests for a private evening of fine dining and entertainment. When they received the invitations, I watched on the security cameras as they squealed with excitement. Karen actually jumped up and down. Michael looked so proud, like he'd earned this somehow. "See?" he told the group. "This is the kind of place where we belong." The dress code was formal elegance. I spent 3 hours getting ready, and when I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. My braids were styled into an intricate updo. My gown was custom-made, deep emerald green that made my skin glow. Diamond earrings my grandmother left me. I looked like I owned the place, because I did. The private restaurant was beautiful. Candles, live music, ocean views. Other guests were already seated when I arrived, fashionably late. Gloria had positioned Michael's table right in the center of the room. I made my entrance. The room went quiet. Every head turned. I saw Michael's face drain of color. His mouth literally fell open. Karen looked confused, gripping his arm. Derek and Chris recognized me immediately. I watched the panic spread across their faces. Gloria stepped forward with a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. It is my honor to introduce the owner of Paradise Cove Resort, as well as 6 other luxury properties across the Caribbean and Mediterranean. A visionary entrepreneur who's revolutionizing the hospitality industry. Please welcome." She said my full name, my credentials, my accomplishments, things Michael had never bothered to learn because he was too busy dismissing my hobby. The room applauded. Other guests looked impressed, intrigued. Michael looked like he might throw up. I walked directly to their table, my heels clicking on the marble floor. The power I felt in that moment, I can't even describe it. "Michael," I said, my voice calm and clear. "What a surprise seeing you here." He couldn't speak. His mouth was opening and closing like a fish. Karen tried to introduce herself. "Hi, I'm Karen," I cut her off. "My husband's colleague." "I know exactly who you are." The word husband landed like a bomb. Karen's face went white. She looked at Michael, then at me, then back at Michael. I pulled out the empty chair at their table and sat down uninvited. So this is the guy's trip I wasn't invited to. the place where I'd stand out too much. Other tables were watching now. You could hear a pin drop. "Baby, I can explain," Michael started. I held up my hand. "Let me save you the trouble." I stood up, addressing the entire restaurant now. My voice was steady, powerful. "My husband told me I couldn't come on this vacation because the clientele here was too traditional for someone like me. What he meant was, this place was too exclusive for his black wife, too upscale, too refined." Gasps rippled through the room. Gloria and the other staff members, most of them people of color, stood a little taller. "What he didn't know," I continued, "is that I own this resort. I built my hospitality empire while he dismissed my dreams as a hobby. I acquired Paradise Cove 6 months ago, and it's one of my most profitable properties." I turned back to their table. "So Michael came here to vacation, away from his wife, to the resort his wife owns, with his mistress, and all of you were in on it." The room erupted in whispers. Other guests were looking at Michael's table with disgust. A few people actually got up and moved away. Karen started crying. "I didn't know. He said he was divorced?" "Save it," I said. I turned to Gloria. "Please ensure Mr. Hayes and his party have everything they need for the remainder of their stay. After all, they paid for the entire week. Non-refundable." Gloria smiled. "Of course, we want all our guests to be comfortable." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Michael tried to stand. "Please, can we just talk privately? There's nothing to discuss. Enjoy your vacation, Michael. I'll be here all week too, in the presidential suite. Oh, and by the way, your belongings are already out of our home. My lawyer will be in touch." I walked out of that restaurant with my head high, my shoulders back. Behind me, I could hear Karen sobbing, Derek trying to defend his brother, and making it worse, Chris's girlfriend, demanding to know what was happening. I didn't look back. The rest of the week was delicious torture for Michael. I was everywhere, working from the beach cabana, doing laps in the pool at dawn, having breakfast on the terrace. Other guests started recognizing me, asking for photos, congratulating me on my success. The staff treated me like royalty because I was their boss, and they were invested in this justice. Meanwhile, Michael's table got the slowest service. Their drink orders were forgotten. They got seated next to the kitchen. The little things that make a vacation miserable. Karen left after 2 days. I watched her and Michael have a screaming fight by the valet stand. She called him a liar and a racist. She slapped him. Then she got in a taxi and disappeared. The other couples started fighting too. Jennifer was furious that Derek had participated in this lie. Chris's girlfriend broke up with him poolside. I may have been watching from my balcony with popcorn. By the end of the week, Michael was alone. His friends had all left early. Relationships destroyed. He spent his days sitting by the pool, staring at nothing. Occasionally, he'd look up at the presidential suite balcony, and I'd wave. On the last day, he tried to approach me at the resort spa. I was getting a massage, completely relaxed. "Please," he said, looking disheveled and broken. "Can we just talk?" I made a mistake. I was confused. I opened one eye and looked at him. "You wanted a vacation away from your black wife. Now you can have a whole life without her. Security will escort you out." 2 security guards appeared immediately. Michael left without another word. When I returned home, I was energized, not broken, empowered. The divorce papers were filed within a week. My lawyer, also a black woman, had structured our prenup beautifully. Michael lost the house, the cars, most of his investments. His reputation at work was destroyed. People talk. His family tried to blame me, paint me as the angry black woman who overreacted. I didn't care. My business is thriving. I just acquired 2 more properties. Forbes featured me in their 30 most influential women in hospitality issue. I'm opening a mentorship program for young black women entrepreneurs. And Paradise Cove, it's never been more popular. Turns out, people love a resort owned by a woman who doesn't tolerate disrespect. So that's how my husband's racism and betrayal led him straight to my resort and straight to divorce court. He tried to take a vacation from his black wife and ended up losing everything. Here's what I learned. Never shrink yourself for someone who's ashamed of you. Never let anyone make you feel like you don't belong. And never, ever underestimate a black woman who's been building her empire in silence. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced being told you don't fit in somewhere? Drop your story in the comments. Let's support each other. And if this story of standing in your power inspired you, smash that like button and subscribe. I've got more stories about taking back our power and refusing to be dimmed. Remember, they try to exclude you from the table. Buy the whole restaurant. See you in the next one, and keep shining.